Danny Meehan, known by the dreadful nickname the Mean Machine, is the former England football captain. He faces the notorious boring life after his retirement. To replenish his adrenaline, he begins seeking thrills in a rather dangerous way, driving his car at breakneck speeds, drinking whiskey straight from the bottle while driving. One day, after such a risky ride, he stops, goes to a bar. There, he continues drinking, becomes intoxicated and insults the police officers. His aggressive behavior leads to a confrontation. During the fight, Danny Meehan attacks and beats the police officers. This, as well as driving while heavily intoxicated, leads to his arrest and trial. The court passes a harsh sentence: 3 years in prison. This prison sentence has become another heavy blow to the life of the former footballer, whose once brilliant career was destroyed several years earlier. It came to an abrupt end when Danny Meehan was accused of serious fixed matches. Once inside the jail, Danny Meehan, the former football star, faces a harsh reality. A warden named Hatchet immediately makes his new status clear. With his words and threatening behavior, Hatchet shows that Danny is not a celebrity here, but simply one of many prisoners, a nobody. While Danny is standing under Hatchet's watchful and unkind gaze, the inmates begin to insult him. They shout loudly, abuse and curses at him. The reason for their fury is obvious. They accuse him of betraying his country during his football career. They believe he has sold out the honor and results of the England national team for money by fixing matches. This angry chorus becomes his first greeting behind the bars. After this humiliating meeting, Danny is brought before the senior warden, Mr. Burton. This is a more formal, but no less tense moment. Burton informs Danny that the next day he will be called for a meeting with the prison governor. At this meeting, the governor offers Danny, a famous footballer, the opportunity to coach the prison football team. However, this offer is accompanied by a categorical demand and a threat. Burton, most likely acting according to instructions from Hatchet or the system, sternly orders Danny to refuse the governor's offer.
You're going to smile nicely and say no.
To eliminate any misunderstanding, Warden Hatchet immediately uses force. He hits Danny hard with his baton, causing pain and demonstrating once again who is the boss and what the consequences of disobedience can be. After meeting with the guards, Danny is taken to his cell, his new, extremely modest home. However, he isn't given any rest. Immediately afterwards, he is taken to the work site. His work assignment is to clean up the prison grounds with another inmate nicknamed Doc. The work isn't just dirty, it is also humiliating. Among other things, they have to clean paper-wrapped items that prisoners have secretly thrown out of their cell windows at night. This can be garbage, contraband, or anything else the inmates are trying to hide or get rid of. Apparently, Doc has connections with the real power of the prison. He immediately dispatches his assistant to Charlie Sykes, a notorious gangster and the de facto shadow master of the entire prison, who is serving a 30-year sentence. And the reason for such haste is Danny himself, as Sykes considers him his debtor. It turns out that the bandit lost a huge amount of money betting on England's match against Germany. He lost because one of the English players deliberately missed a penalty kick. For Sykes, Danny is responsible for his financial losses. Later, in the cafeteria, Danny faces another unpleasant situation. He is greeted emotionally, even hysterically, by an inmate nicknamed Nitro. Nitro is known as an unstable psychopath. He immediately begins to offer Danny his services, assuring him that he can get absolutely anything in prison. However, Nitro isn't just a dealer. Madza, Nitro's direct competitor, sits down at Danny's table. Unlike the hysterical psychopath, Madza apparently acts more reservedly and businesslike. He, too, immediately offers Danny different things, mentioning the basic prison delicacies such as chocolate and soft toilet paper. This emphasizes that even such trivial items are valuable and negotiable here. Finally, Danny is put in a cell. His roommates are an Iranian guy and 2 black men. However, no friendship or even neutrality develops. His new cellmates, like absolutely every other prisoner Danny has encountered, treat him with obvious hostility and animosity. His reputation as a traitor who has sold out his country follows him even in his cell. As the prisoners are being led out into the yard, everyone's attention is drawn to an unusual prisoner in shackles. It is Nawazek, a man who has already become a legend in the prison. His origins are shrouded in rumor. He is said to have been a monk from Broadhurst, which adds a dark air of mystery to his image and contrasts with his current state. As previously scheduled, Danny Meehan is brought to the warden's office. The warden, interested in the success of the prison's semi-professional football team, begins to enthusiastically praise its potential. He declares that this year the team has a real chance to win its league and advance to a higher level of competition. The warden believes that the key to this success is Danny Meehan's experience and knowledge. The warden directly offers Danny the position of team coach, seeing him as the missing piece that will lead to victory. However, following the strict orders of the guards and remembering the blow from Hatchet's baton, Danny tells a firm no to this tempting offer. The warden immediately understands the reason for the refusal. He realizes that Senior Warden Burton is behind it, deliberately throwing a spanner in the works of this project and sabotaging it. The warden's irritation is obvious. He openly expresses his dissatisfaction with the fact that he has already invested significant resources into the football team's development but is not receiving any results. Danny's refusal, instigated by Burton, is the last straw. Later, in the cafeteria, Danny is attacked by inmates, probably provoked or simply due to their shared hatred of him. Fortunately, the situation does not escalate into a full-blown brawl. The guards quickly intervene and separate the crowd. However, the consequences are extremely unfair for Danny. Instead of calming the situation or sorting it out, Chief Warden Burton deliberately uses pepper spray on Danny, spraying directly into his eyes, causing severe pain and temporarily blinding him. Despite the fact that others are also involved in the conflict, only Danny receives the punishment of being placed in solitary confinement. This clearly demonstrates Burton's bias. Warden is aware of betting. Talking to Danny, he mentions that he himself regularly bets on sports, which explains his particular interest in the success of the prison team. Danny states his desire. Trying to justify or defend himself, he begs the warden, or the system as a whole, to leave him alone. He insists that he only wants to quietly and peacefully serve out his time, without any unnecessary troubles. But the warden points out a clear inconsistency in Danny's words and actions. If he truly wants to just serve out his sentence, then why does he constantly find himself in the middle of conflicts? Why does he attack other inmates and guards? This behavior directly contradicts his stated desire to serve out his sentence peacefully. It's unclear what truly motivates him. While in solitary confinement, Danny receives unexpected support from Madza. Madza, using his connections, manages to smuggle food to Danny, which is a valuable asset in the confinement system. Furthermore, Madza suggests Danny an important strategy. He proposes organizing a soccer match between a team of prisoners and a team of guards. Madza justifies this with a compelling argument. Such a match will be the best training for the prison guards team preparing for the league. The warden likes this idea, as he really wants to improve his team's preparation for victory in the league and, presumably, future winning bets. Burton also accepts the proposal. Perhaps he sees it as a way to control the situation or avoid a direct conflict with the warden over Danny's forced resignation from coaching. During a conversation with Danny, Nitro reveals a part of his biography. He mentions he could have become a professional footballer too, given his talent. However, his career is derailed by a fatal passion. He really loves making bombs. This dangerous hobby or profession is the reason for him to be in prison rather than on the football field. The prison governor, a known gambler and sports bettor, has suffered a serious setback. He has just lost £5,000. This loss likely fuels his frustration and desire to win through the prison team. Warden Hatchet continues to systematically put pressure on Madza. The specific reason for the current persecution is that Madza has made a new friend, that is, he has begun helping Danny. Hatchet clearly disapproves of this alliance. The warden, thinking about his team, expresses a desire to see the members of Sykes's inner circle, probably physically strong and disciplined prisoners, in it. However, this is impossible for one key reason. Charlie Sykes himself strictly forbids his subordinates from playing in the warden's team. This ban once again emphasizes Sykes's immense influence and his ability to sabotage the administration's plans from within. Unexpectedly, a glimmer of something familiar, even warm, appears in Danny's grim prison reality. It turns out to be an inmate nicknamed Billy the Limpet, who is a true Danny's fan. His devotion is so strong that he even wears a jersey with the former national team star's number. The Limpet, beaming with delight, approaches his idol and fervently asks to teach him all those famous tricks and moves that once drove stadiums wild. Prison life runs on hidden connections. To understand them, Danny turns to Doc, who reveals a key scheme. Sykes secretly advises the warden on sports bets, and in return receives newspapers soaked in acid that allow drugs to be extracted, a cover for smuggling them into the prison. The warden, profiting from Sykes's tips, turns a blind eye to the trafficking, letting his passion for winning outweigh his duty. In this atmosphere of betrayal and deals, another significant event occurs. Nitro, notorious for his unstable character, makes a sharp turn in his prison career. He openly becomes a snitch. Danny overhears a conversation between Nitro and Hatchet. In this conversation, Nitro, casting aside his previous bravado, offers a deal. He is willing to share valuable information about what is happening among the inmates, but in exchange, he demands a transfer to another prison with much better conditions. It is a frank offer of cooperation from someone who has recently boasted of his permissiveness. Tension in the prison grows as Warden Hatchet continues to torment Mazza. When Mazza finally snaps, Hatchet uses it as an excuse to unleash his anger, beating him with his baton and proving how powerless Mazza is against his abuse of power. At this critical moment, something unexpected happens. Only one person dares to challenge the guard's arbitrary conduct. Danny Meehan, driven by a sense of justice or solidarity with the man who has helped him, rushes to defend Mazza. He attempts to stop the beating by confronting Hatchet. However, his courageous act immediately backfires. The guards restrain Danny, preventing him from offering any real assistance, and throw him into the punishment cell, the regular punishment for any insubordination. Even in the grim solitude of the isolation cell, Danny isn't entirely forgotten. Mazza, still battered and risking further punishment, manages to show his gratitude by secretly tossing a small ball into Danny's cell. This simple object becomes a precious gift, not just a token of friendship, but a lifeline meant to help Danny preserve his sanity by giving his mind and hands something to hold on to in the unforgiving quiet of solitary confinement. However, Danny proves too valuable to keep in isolation for long. Whether through Charlie Sykes' influence or the need for his skills in the upcoming match, he is suddenly released from solitary. He's taken straight to the prison football field, where preparations for the crucial game are already underway. There, Danny receives an unexpected welcome. The inmates who once treated him with open hostility now approach with genuine gratitude for his attempt to protect Mazza from Hatchet. His act of solidarity outweighs his reputation as a traitor. As a sign of respect and readiness to cooperate, they express their desire to join the prison team for the match against the guards, the first real step toward forging a united group of cons. Danny and his unwitting assistant, Mazza, begin to select players for the upcoming match against the guards. They carefully assess the inmates' abilities, assigning each an unspoken score. Danny's cellmates stand out in particular, and one of them, a black man nicknamed Sasha, shows genuine talent. Mazza even notes that he can become a reliable right-hand man for the team. Meanwhile, tension is mounting around the prison governor. An enraged bookmaker, whom the governor owed £5,000, comes to him. The loan shark openly threatens bloodbath. If the money isn't repaid on time, the governor will have his elbows and knees crushed. The threats are backed up by action. Later, the governor discovers his car soaked in gasoline with an empty gas can inside. In prison, Nitro, seething with envy, tries to bypass Mazza by insisting he should be Danny's manager, bragging about his experience, a dark nod to the explosives that landed him behind bars. Danny shuts him down instantly, enraging Nitro. "Good thing he likes you," Mazza later grimly jokes, recalling that Nitro had once convincingly argued with his enemies using explosives, killing 5 of them. Unable to break into the team, Nitro chooses another way, to take revenge on Danny. He approaches Scotsman Catch, an influential prisoner in Sykes' entourage, and lies that Danny is a friend of Chief Security Officer Burton, and that it is he who has sold out the drug-soaked newspaper scheme, though in fact it was Nitro himself who provided the information. Catch, known for his temper, rises to the bait. He and his henchman brutally attacks Danny in a secluded corner, pinning his arms and holding a knife to his face, preparing to cut out his eye as punishment for snitching. Danny, demonstrating incredible strength and agility, manages to escape, although being injured. At that moment, guards burst into the hallway, attracted by the noise of the fight. They demand to know the identity of the attackers. Danny, gritting his teeth, remains silent, refusing to turn Catch and his men over. This act is crucial. Catch, convinced that Danny is not a snitch and is keeping his word, not only apologizes but, as a sign of respect, offers him several strong and skilled players from his circle to join the team. Thus, Nitro's attempt to destroy Danny results in strengthening his position and replenishing the team fails. Aware of Charlie Sykes' power, Danny looks for a way to neutralize his threats and offers him a deal. Sykes bets on the upcoming match between prisoners and guards and chooses the result himself, giving him full control for his own profit. Sykes listens, then viciously reminds Danny of his past betrayal, selling out his country and his team. Yet, instead of demanding a guaranteed win for the guards, he coldly admits that if he were betting, he'd choose the prisoners. This reluctant remark becomes an unexpected recognition of the team's potential. Meanwhile, Danny faces a more personal dilemma. Billy the Limpet, his devoted fan, longs to join the prison team. Despite his lack of skill, Danny can't turn him away. Moved by Billy's faith and enthusiasm, he includes him, not out of strategy, but out of humanity, unwilling to shatter the one person who still believes in him as a hero. The warden complains to Sykes that the bookmaker he recommended is now threatening him. He's sunk all his money into the prison team and is desperate. Doc explains why one inmate has been locked up longer than the rest. He once tried to cross him on the outside, so he threw a grenade through the man's window, not knowing there was a wife and a 1-year-old child inside. It's a crime that can never be atoned for.
Nothing I can do. it's ever going to make up for that, is it?
After some thought, Sykes agrees to let his men play, but on one condition. Danny must fight one of his own men, so no one thinks they've become allies. Meanwhile, Nitro's obsession with his fallen idol turns into hatred, and Hatchet sends him to solitary to keep him from killing the snitch. Danny is meant to fight Gentle Nick, but when Nick falls ill, he faces Catch instead, a hulking brawler with 30 wins and no losses. Shackled together, they take turns smashing each other in the face, washing each blow down with raw moonshine. Catch, jailed for grievous bodily harm, hits harder and fights dirtier, but Danny's jaw and his tolerance for alcohol prove tougher. In the end, Catch collapses, knocked out by an empty mug, and Danny earns the backing of Sykes' men.
I'm in here for drunken assault.
Now the team must learn to play together and grasp real tactics. All they know so far is how to charge hard and break bones, and they still lack a goalkeeper. The Scotsman suggests the Monk, a gifted keeper who might have gone pro if he hadn't gone mad. They say he ate a cannibalistic maniac. Sykes personally steps in to negotiate his release from the special sector, hinting to the warden that betting on a guard's victory would make him a fortune. The Monk refuses to play football, but he changes his mind after learning he'll be playing against the guards. During practice, the Monk gets angry with Iroquois and breaks his nose, adding that it is an accident.
Right, it was an accident.
Danny promises Burton that his team will give them hell. The guards and prisoners train constantly. Both are committed to their preparation. Sykes informs Danny that a lot of money is at stake. That's why the inmates team has to win. The Scotsman, with the help of the Monk and Billy, demonstrates dirty tricks they can use against the guards. When the limpet volunteers, he doesn't know there are 23 techniques, and he'll barely survive them. Hatchet demands that Nitro do something about Danny. Otherwise, he'll transfer him back to the general cell, where he'll be stabbed for snitching. Nitro has started building a bomb. The warden's secretary likes Danny. She gives him videotapes of the guards' games and dossiers on them, while the prison team is discussing the guards' weaknesses, which they now know about. Nitro plants a bomb in the football player's locker. Danny realizes he has forgotten some of the tapes, so Doc volunteers to bring them. As the old man walks to his cell, Danny admits he threw the match because his popularity turned his head. He was spending money like water and once ended up in debt to important people. He had a choice, to miss a penalty kick or to be permanently disabled. At that moment, an explosion rocks the prison. Doc is killed, and Nitro is transferred to a prison mental hospital. The inmates say goodbye to Doc.
I reckon you quits now, old man.
Danny polishes his boots as match day arrives. The prison roars behind the team. Burton warns the guards to ignore provocation and prove their superiority with skill, not cruelty. Danny tells his men that if they win, it will stay with them for life, something countless inmates can only dream of. Sykes then reveals that Doc, saving all he had, managed one last act. He bought the team uniforms so everyone could follow the game. As the match begins, two inmates take up commentary. The teams are on the field, and Danny's team's uniform looks much cooler. Danny asks the men to avoid dirty play and only do so in response. But as soon as the referee's whistle blows, both teams begin playing dirty. The guards are the first to get close to scoring. During the counterattack, Danny knocks down the head of security. Danny's free kick is effective. The ball hit Hatchet's balls. The next shot goes the same way. At one point, the Monk abandons his own goalposts and runs toward the opponents, and no one dares ask him to come back. The players take down their opponents and pull them by their shirts. During the free kick, the ball ricochets dangerously into the Monk's goalposts. He is distracted by his own thoughts, but he pulls himself together in time and saves the team. The Iranian carries the ball almost to the goal and passes it. He misses his famous overhead kick. Danny finishes the pass and scores the first goal of the match. There are 5 minutes left in the half. The Monk continues to run around the field like a normal outfield player. At some point, the match becomes a regular brawl, everyone against everyone. Even the commentators get into a fight. That is the end of the first half. Sykes tells the warden that he's asked the prisoners to throw the game, but they aren't listening. Iroquois' nose is broken again, and Billy is going to replace him. The warden is indignant, threatening to fire the prison guards if they lose. He approaches Danny and begins blackmailing him. Nitro has confessed to the murder and revealed that Danny had sent Doc to his cell. That meant he is an accomplice to the killer, and that means for him 20 years in prison, so it's better for his team not to win. In the second half, the footballer begins to make mistakes like losing the ball and failing to pass. The unpredictable Monk is once again in a state of flux. He returns a ball after ball with incredible somersaults and leaps. The brawl continues on the field. Meanwhile, Billy demonstrates what a loser he is at football. He constantly loses the ball and is unable to hit an empty net, even being just a few meters away. During the scuffle, a security guard spits in the back of the Iranian's head. It is too much, and the man simply punches the offender in the face. For this, he receives a red card. The prisoners are left with one man down. The Monk has more work to do, but at least least he stops running too far from the goalposts. The Sasha again does all the work and passes to catch. He takes a superb shot and the goalkeeper can't stop it. However, the monk gets absorbed in playing and starts dancing with the ball near the penalty area. The opponent doesn't forgive him for such impudence, and the guards reduce the deficit to 1 goal. Everyone is shocked that the monk has admitted his mistake. Another goal almost goes into his net. Danny looks especially bad. He pretends to be injured. The forward doesn't like this behavior. Madza is also disappointed. He doesn't think the captain will sell them, but he still doesn't make a substitution. Because of this, 11 guards are confronting only 9 prisoners, and then the score becomes 2-2. Danny changes his mind and goes out onto the field to win. However, the team no longer believes in him. For example, the Sasha doesn't pass to him during the attack, so Danny has to do everything himself. He is running all over the field. Meanwhile, the monk tests Hatchet's crotch again. The ball flies into the guard's goalposts, but the goal is disallowed because Hatchet has been injured earlier. A free kick is awarded, and the monk takes it. The ball is kicked into the center of the field, where only Danny and 1 defender are present. He beats the guard and finds himself one-on-one with the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper drops him, but Danny gets up. He stops with the ball right in the goalposts area, but doesn't shoot and allows the bow-legged Billy to do it, and he smashes the ball into the empty net with all his might. The prisoners take the lead. They win right before the final whistle. The warden approaches Danny and promises to ruin his life, but Burton stands up for him and thanks the footballer for a good game. At that moment, the warden's car explodes, and then Danny says his final line.
Stick that in your trophy cabinet.